Hi everyone, and welcome to another episode of Govs on the Go Faculty Spotlight, a podcast featuring faculty in the College of Arts and Letters here at Austin Peay State University. My name is Dr. Buzz Hoon. I'm the Dean of the college, and I'm also the host of the podcast. Today I'm talking with Mickey Wadia, professor in the Department of Languages and Literature here at Austin Peay. Welcome to the show, Mickey.
Thank you for having me, Buzz.
Absolutely.
It's been an honor, and I look forward to chatting.
Well, it's the first episode of the second season, and I wanted to have on somebody to really send it off in a good direction. Now, of course, this spring this fall we recognized 30 years here at Austin Peay, and that's just a remarkable achievement. Congratulations to you on that.
Thank you. It's been an honor.
Yeah. So, how did you come to Austin Peay? Tell us about your journey here.
Yeah. So, I got my doctoral degree from the University of Southwestern Louisiana at the time, and it's now University of Louisiana. I graduated in 1987, and then I worked in Lafayette, Louisiana for a while at a technical college, and then I took on a visiting assistant professor role at Southeastern Louisiana University in Hammond. I was only 45 minutes from New Orleans because I like jazz and I play music and I like all of that. Figured that'd be a good place to go to, and I stayed there for a year. And then I noticed I wanted to be back on a regular basis at the university rather than visiting assistant professor. And we have a job list that we can consult, and I looked in there, and under T for Tennessee, the first name starting with A, of course, was Austin Peay. And they were looking for a technical writer, so I said to my wife, I think I should apply for this, because I've been doing this for a long time, why not? And it would bring me closer, because I knew Clarksville was closer to where my family was, which is in Chicago. So I decided to take the plunge. It was a national search, and as they say, the rest is history. I was interviewed within a week of my dissertation, a week or 10 days roughly, very fast hire. And before long, I came to Austin Peay, and people interviewed me here. It was like 2 days or so. And I got the job offer very shortly afterwards, like in less than 10 days. They said, we want you. Would you be willing to come? And I said, yeah, sure. Twist my arm, I'll be right there. And so I came, and it never regretted a minute of my decision. Never looked for a job, never needed to go anywhere. And so the 30 years has been a progression of things that I've really enjoyed doing at the Peay. So I'm happy to be here, and I hope to continue for as long as I can.
And we have so much to talk about how, and not a long time to do this, but you know, you've had a big influence on so many people. And I want to recognize that, you know, for instance, you taught some of our classes that students would take in Gen Ed, and that impacts not just our majors within the College of Arts and Letters, but that's the university,
yes.
You know, and you know, what's really neat about that is that you have that influence. You know, how have you approached teaching, you know, especially students that are finding interest in language, in writing, in reading for the first time?
So I kind of treat students and folks like that who are not that exposed to literature or language kind of like how you would treat an audience at a play that's been playing for years or whatever. You got to remember that the audience is always new to the show. Yeah. They haven't heard it. I say it many times in classes, but I have to reach a whole new demographic of folks. So I've always approached the students with a great deal of care and commitment, understanding where they are in their current position. You know, it's frightening to be a freshman at Austin Peay. It's frightening to be a sophomore, you know. Until you spend a little time at Austin Peay, you don't quite get that. So I consider it my job to make the material that I'm doing interesting. So, you know, it's the old adage, you got to meet them where they are.
Right.
So I do a style of what you might call student speak. So I speak to students in the way that they would understand something, and sometimes the language can get colorful while I'm describing something, and they kind of appreciate a cool professor who's willing to come and play in their sandbox.
Yeah.
I don't require them to meet me in mine, but I will come down to you over there and I'll show you how this happens. And sometimes it takes a long time, sometimes it takes a short time, but to engage in one idea at a time so it's digestible. I don't try to cover 15 things ever in a lecture. I don't try to cover 10. If I can do 3 things today in 45 minutes, I'd like to do these 3 things, and I want you to leave knowing these 3 things very well. So I don't want to do a scattering or smattering of information, little tidbits here and there, no cohesion, no total chaos sort of. I don't do that. I try very hard to go in with one purpose for the day, or 2 or 3 tops, and then we try to stick with that. And then I like to do what I call an immersion into the subject matter, the content matter, and I like to back that up with a lot of audio visual elements. So if I can find a video or an audio track of a poet, for example, reciting their own poem, I like to play that for the students so they can hear the emotions from the author and the person himself or herself. That's kind of helped me bridge that gap from just a textbook and my speaking about it to actually hearing it and hearing music associated with it, or art or other elements of the humanities that might affect that particular work. So I'm trying to cover a lot of ground here, a lot of space, and of course that requires a lot of preparation. So I spend a lot of time working on my classes. It doesn't happen easily.
Right.
I make it look easy, but the truth of the matter is we all put a lot of time. Those of us who care about our students, you have to put in the time. And so I put in the time, and hopefully it has worked. And I've stayed friends with a lot of these folks. They've remembered me long time after the class has been over, and that's a very precious thing to be able to say. So I appreciate that. If I've changed one life, I feel good about what I've done. And that's all I can do for now.
And folks that I have talked to, and I've shared this with you, and they're not just majors in languages and literature. These are folks that have been in some of your classes because of they were taking a gen ed class, and they said that after having you were one of their favorite professors. And I wanted to mention, you talked about technical writing and about how you help not only teach technical writing, but about being a professional and the career expectations end of it. And you send them off, and what I love even more is that the relationship, the mentorship doesn't just end once they leave the campus.
They do not. And here's something interesting that I've always offered to all my students in technical writing classes. And I say this every time I can, and I try to remember to say it. Look, I'm showing you some life skills here. These are things that will help you survive in the real world. Here's what it's going to take to not just get the job, but keeping the job. The important part is keeping your job. I can tell a lot of students find it very easy to maybe find a job, but listen, keeping that job and the longevity that comes out of a job that you're in requires a special talent.
Absolutely.
So to that end, when we finish a technical writing class, I'm always there. I said, anytime in the future, if you want me to look at your resume, or you want me to help you with a cover letter for a job, or arrange something differently on the page that you're having difficulty expressing an idea, come see me, make an appointment, and we'll go over it. So sometimes that has often happened that somebody has caught up with me 8 years later and said, hey, I'm switching jobs, do you remember me? I need a recommendation letter. I write a lot of recommendation letters for people. It seems like that's one of the additional jobs I have at Austin Peay. I'm always writing letters for someone, but it gives me great joy to be able to say that those students I had in technical writing class are making a lot more money than I am right now, because that tells me I've been successful at what I've been trying to do. And I wish you would make more money. And I tell them that. I hope you make more money than I do at Austin Peay, because it will have sent a message that I did my job, and I did it with care and compassion. So when someone tells me I'm making over 100K, or I'm making 75 or 80 or whatever, which is way higher than I was making at the time when I was teaching the class, to me that's an enormous sense of reward.
Absolutely.
And so I want to help them, and technical writing is a very good field to be in. The Labor Department says there's quite a market in the future if people are willing to do this job, and so we're trying to teach them the skills for that. So I'm contributing my little part that I can, because I've taught technical writing since probably 35, 37 years I've been doing it. So I was doing it when it wasn't even a name. It didn't even have a real name to it. They didn't know what to call it. So yeah, it's been fun. And I was hired for that at Austin Peay.
Now, another thing that many graduates have told me is that you have made Shakespeare come alive for them. Can you reveal your secrets to the audience?
Where do I begin? So in order to be a good professor, and I've been honored to have received the Socrates Award and the Distinguished Professor Award, but that has come at some cost to me and my family, because I've had to put in a lot of hours in preparing lectures and things about a writer 450 years ago in a different kind of syntax and diction that is not familiar to them. So the opening gambit on Shakespeare is to say something to this effect. Look, Shakespeare wrote in a language called early modern English. It's 450 years old. He doesn't always follow typical word order. He doesn't follow subject, verb, object like modern speakers do. He sometimes switches it up, and then he creates a unique vocabulary in many of his plays. So if you want to understand Shakespeare, you have to tune back. You have to go back 450 years and meet Shakespeare where he is. I don't expect Shakespeare to be fully intelligible to someone in 2023. You have to tune your ears to the sound of Shakespeare, the cadence, the tone, the iambic pentameter of how lines might have been reproduced, that style of Shakespeare. It takes a little bit of work, but if you're willing to put in the work, I can bring the magic big time. And I've taken students, obviously, on multiple study abroad trips and where we look at Shakespearean plays. So I've been blessed to be able to see plays at the Royal Shakespeare Company many, many times, including the Globe Theatre in London and all other places across Europe. And I've even taken students to shows in Australia because I taught a study abroad class in Australia. So Shakespeare does require a special set of skills. And the one thing I bring to Shakespeare is an enormous amount of passion and respect for this guy. He's able to say things in such a way and in such a humanistic pattern, humanistic traditions of what it means to be a person, what it means to be human beings. He did that better than anybody else, in my opinion, in the English-speaking world. So when they took a poll of who their greatest child was at the millennium, people thought, it might be J.K. Rowling, it might be the Beatles, it might be the Queen and all that. The winner of that popularity contest, someone who was really close to the soul of England, the winner was William Shakespeare at the turn of the century.
And still the winner.
And still the winner from the looks of it. There has been no let-up on productions. Every state has a Shakespeare festival. And I am giving a lecture this Sunday on Much Ado About Nothing. I've been invited by the Nashville Shakespeare Festival to be one of the Middle Tennessee scholars. We do this every summer Shakespeare. So my turn is this Sunday. So I'm always staying tuned to that. And I've invited students from all my classes to come with me on Sunday to see Much Ado About Nothing. And I think I'm probably going to be there with about 20, 25 people. And I give a talk first. It's called an Insight Talk into Shakespeare. That's always well attended. Just a little bit about the play before they actually see the play, so they can have some sense of what they're about to see, what they should expect, and what they might get from the play. What can I take away? So I give them that help without giving away plot sequences or giving out spoilers. But I just give them a sense of what should I look for. These are ordinary folks. They're not Shakespeare scholars. So I'm speaking to common folk and letting them know what this play is about. So I'm very happy to be affiliated with that group. And I carry that excitement into the classroom when I'm doing it with videos and putting on voices and speaking the lines. I love to speak Shakespeare lines. I memorize passages, and I'm able to knock them out in the classroom. It gives me a lot of delight to be able to do it. I think over the years, students have The one word that has always come up in the evaluations, and this is the common denominator, is Dr. Wadia is very passionate about what he does. Anything he does, he brings the passion. He doesn't do anything half-heartedly. You either have to give yourself or you will not pass this course. So you got to give it all the love you can and bring it to bear, and then you will have a terrific time of the semester. So that's what I try to do. Try to reach as many as possible.
Well, thank you for sharing your passion on the podcast today. It's been a great talk with you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
And thanks to all of our listeners and viewers out there for joining us. We appreciate that you tune in to our podcast. We will continue to profile some of the outstanding professors we have here in the College of Arts and Letters at Austin Peay State University. So until next time, stay safe, take care, and God bless.